Welcome to the Explainer. You know, every single promise we make, every deal we strike, it all starts with a blueprint. Today, we're going to build that blueprint together, piece by piece, by looking at the two absolute cornerstones, the offer and the acceptance. These are what turn a simple conversation into a promise with real legal weight.
But before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's just kick things off with a couple of questions you probably run into every day. When you see a price tag on something in a store, is that store actually promising to sell it to you for that price? And think about it. At what exact moment does a negotiation stop being just talk and turn into something you legally can't back out of? The answers might not be what you think.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start with what an offer even is, then figure out how to tell it apart from things that just look like offers. We'll run through the checklist for a valid offer, then get into the crucial act of acceptance, and finally, we'll wrap up with the rules about timing and taking it all back.
All right, first up, the offer. What is that little spark that takes a casual comment and transforms it into something that actually matters, legally speaking? Let's get into the definition.
Okay, so the legal definition here is super precise. It's basically a clear signal that you're ready to commit to something right now if the other person just says yes. The key phrase here is obtaining the assent. You're not just throwing an idea out there, you are actively trying to get their consent to lock in the deal.
So breaking that down, a real offer needs these four things. It's got to be aimed at someone specific. It has to be about doing something, or even not doing something. But the most important part, it's all about that clear intention to get a yes back. That's why saying something like, man, I might sell my car if I get a good price, isn't a legal offer. You're just thinking out loud, not asking for an immediate decision.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. A lot of things we see every single day that feel like offers are, in the eyes of the law, actually something totally different. They're just invitations for you to be the one to make an offer. So the whole thing boils down to intention. An offer is the final word from one side. It's just waiting for a yes to become a contract. An invitation to offer, though, that's just opening the door for a conversation. It's basically saying, hey, I'm open for business. Why don't you make me an offer? And this table, it lays out that difference perfectly. Remember that price tag in a shop we talked about? Turns out, that's not the shop offering to sell to you. It's inviting you to bring the item to the counter and offer to buy it from them. It's the same with a restaurant menu. You are the one making the offer when you tell the waiter what you want. The big exception you see here is a reward poster. That is considered an offer, but it's a general offer made to the whole world.
Okay, let's keep building on this. For an offer to actually have any legal power, it's not enough for it to just have the right ingredients. It also has to pass a pretty strict quality control check.
So let me tell you a story. This ad is from a famous case back in 1893. The Carbolic Smokeball Company promised 100 pounds, a ton of money back then, to anyone who got the flu after using their product. Well, a Mrs. Carlisle used it exactly as directed, and she still got sick. When she asked for the money, the company refused, saying the ad was just promotional fluff, not a serious promise. But the court said, no way. By saying they'd put $1,000 in a bank to show they were serious, they had made a real offer to the world, and Mrs. Carlisle accepted it by, well, using the smokeball and getting sick.
And that wild story actually helps us understand the rules for a valid offer. First, you have to actually intend for it to be legally serious. A casual promise to make a friend dinner just doesn't count. Second, the details have to be clear. And third, the other person has to know about it. You can't accidentally accept an offer you never knew about. It's like if you return a lost dog and then find out there was a reward, you can't claim it because you didn't know about the offer when you acted.
And how important is being clear? Well, in one case, a promise to lease a house with this condition was thrown out by the court. Why? Because it's way too vague. What does thorough repair actually mean? Or present style? If you can't nail down the specifics, you don't have a deal.
So an offer, no matter how perfectly crafted it is really just a proposal hanging in the air. To bring it down to earth and make it a real contract, it needs the other half of the equation, acceptance. And this isn't just any old yes. It has to be the right kind of yes.
The most fundamental idea here is the mirror image rule. And honestly, it's pretty much what it sounds like. Your acceptance has to reflect the original offer perfectly, like a mirror, without changing a single detail. The second you try to add a new condition or tweak the terms, it's no longer an acceptance.
This classic case, Hyde v. Wrench, just nails this point home. One guy offers to sell his farm for 1,000 pounds. The other guy replies, I'll give you 950 pounds. Now that reply wasn't an acceptance. It was a brand new offer. A counteroffer. And here's the absolute kicker. That counteroffer of £950 completely destroyed the original £1,000 offer. It was gone, forever. You couldn't go back and accept it later.
Okay, so what about this? Can you make acceptance automatic? In another famous case, an uncle said this to his nephew about buying a horse. The nephew never actually replied, but he did intend to sell the horse to his uncle. So, do we have a contract here?
And the court's answer was a big, firm no. The person who makes the offer can't just force a contract on someone by saying your silence means yes. The person accepting has to actively communicate that they agree. Basically, the law protects you from getting roped into a deal just because you didn't say no.
All right, finally, let's look at the clock. The whole life of an offer is governed by some really strict rules about when it's alive, when it dies, and how we talk about it. Timing, as they say, is everything.
See, an offer doesn't live forever. It can just expire if a reasonable amount of time passes. It can be flat out rejected, or, as we just saw, a counteroffer will kill it dead. And really importantly, the person who made the offer can take it back, they can revoke it at any point before it's been accepted.
Now for a fascinating little twist that comes from a time before email and instant messages, the postal rule. When people were making deals through the mail, the law decided that acceptance is legally complete the moment that acceptance letter is posted, not when the other person actually gets it. So a contract is technically formed the second that letter hits the mailbox, even if it gets lost in the mail and never arrives. It's a bit wild, right?
This quote just sums it all up perfectly. An offer is like a carefully laid trail of gunpowder. It has all this potential, but it's just sitting there. Acceptance, that's the lighted match. The moment it touches the powder, an irreversible chain reaction kicks off, and a binding contract just explodes into existence.
So as you go about the rest of your day, think about it. Buying that coffee, tapping your card to get on the bus, clicking I agree on some website terms you didn't read. You were navigating this world of offer and acceptance the whole time. This blueprint is absolutely everywhere, quietly building the promises that hold our world together.